Hi everyone, this is Sandy Kane again and Dee Dee Rice.
Hi.
Hi. We're about to get started here. People keep joining, so just kind of pausing a little bit to get everybody in there, and we're also trying to figure out how best to see your questions. So
You don't want this there.
So let's see. Yes, so just to answer a couple questions before we start, the control panel, if you want to keep it visible for yourself, I guess you can. If you want to use the raise hand button, you're more than welcome to do that throughout the webinar. And yes, we are actually recording this webinar, so we will be able to view it afterwards. So that is happening. Can you tell us if somebody can you see the question box right now, or is that something only we are seeing? You can see the question box? Okay. Okay, so we're going to have to pop in, maybe we'll leave it in the corner here, so that Dee Dee can monitor it as we're going. If it gets super annoying or something like that, then please let us know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I need you to click on there. So welcome to the GPC webinar. We do have VSCs, GPCs, and other community team members visiting us today. So thank you everybody for taking the time out of your evening to join us and learn the valuable information, hopefully, that we're going to be sharing with you. I wanted to start off by saying thank you, not only for joining us today, but also for volunteering. We know, as you can tell from the quotes that are on the screen, we know how hard it is to get volunteers, to keep volunteers, and to have good volunteers. And we want to let you know we do appreciate all of your efforts, your time, and everything that you do for the girls. So thank you very much as we get started with this evening. So we're starting where we were. Currently, for the past few years, we've had a very strong girl placement coordinator group in our council. We've had about 70% of our communities having girl placement coordinators. In some areas, our volunteer support coordinator also acted as the girl placement coordinator, giving us a very strong presence in our communities throughout our council. In the areas that there was not a GPC or a VSC doing that role, a staff member has supported placement in the past. The main responsibility of the GPCs over the last few years was to connect with registered members and assist them in troop placement. We found over the years that this is probably one of the most challenging aspects of the entire GPC role. Other responsibilities that the GPC had included connecting with families that showed interest, which was our interest indicator report. So connecting with those families and helping them join Girl Scouts, assisting them by answering their questions, finding troop placement, or offering other pathway choices for them. Ensuring that all the girls that you had placed or girls that were interested in being placed were registered. Working with leaders to find troop placement throughout your community. Communicating regularly with those that we did not have placement for, and sharing other Girl Scout opportunities as they became available. Monitoring the troop rosters that were sent for accuracy and updates throughout the year. Receiving weekly reports, and there were a lot of them, usually 5 reports per week. VSCs got some more, and GPCs throughout the year actually got more, depending on what time of year it was. So receiving those weekly reports, sharing those with the other community team members, looking at them, opening them, analyzing them, etc., etc. And also assisting the community team as part of the community team whenever you needed to. Whatever was available for volunteering. I know most of our GPCs held other hats, either as troop leaders or as valuable members of the community team. So now we're looking at where we are currently today. Volunteerism in Girl Scouts has been down throughout the country for the last few years. Our council has seen a dramatic decrease, but we've also seen a maintenance for the past 2 years and are actually starting to see an increase for this year. We do have volunteers. We do have lots of adults that are willing to be part of Girl Scouts, and we just have to capture them and continue to capture them in the leadership roles.
Excuse me. This is Dee Dee. I'm just wondering if maybe the change that we had in November of getting our volunteers through the process has made a difference in our maintaining and increasing our members, our volunteers.
It might have. Changing our application process, for lack of better words, turning our training to available but not mandatory, and quickening the speed at which somebody could actually get through the process may have had a direct impact on that. We'll see as we go forward, I suppose. Girls, Dee Dee was hungry, can you tell? No, girls have more choices than ever before. Throughout our country, we have schools, friends, sports, activities. Everybody's buying for our girls' time. And Girl Scouts is something that we need to keep in the forefront to make sure that that's something that keeps active, stays that way, and continues to grow over the next, hopefully, 100 years. Volunteers, or I should say adults, have identified the #1 reason for not volunteering having to do with time. They continue to say, I don't have time, I have multiple children, we have too many activities, we're working 2 income, the household has 2 incomes, I have a full-time job. Time is something that we need to give back to our volunteers. The new program that we have going on definitely addresses that. GSUSA has been looking over the last few years on the trends that we've been talking about with volunteerism going down, with competition for our girls' time and attention, and also for the time that people are willing to give to an organization. And they've developed the Customer Engagement Initiative, which is known as CEI, in order to answer some of these trends. CEI focuses directly on the volunteer. Girls are our main focus. They will always be our main focus, but we realize that without the volunteers, we're not going to be able to service the girls. And so CEI really does focus on the volunteer, what the volunteer needs, and how the volunteer can get that. It shortens the process of becoming a volunteer, automates the process for the ease of use by a tech-savvy generation, and provides a customer-centric experience for members and potential members. As I said, girls are always our priority, but we have to make it easier for the volunteers. Our council now has a customer care team that's focusing directly on helping everyone, not just our volunteers, but everyone as fast as they can. All calls to our council now route through our customer care team. Customer care is supported by our entire council to be able to provide the answers on all subjects. Our customer care team can answer inquiries by email or by phone number. And the customer care model that we're using right now is being adapted by all councils throughout the country. By using cases to assist our members, there's an accountability for all of our staff members to always put the members first. The way our customer care team is working right now and into the future is we do have, as we said, a dedicated staff that is there to answer the phones and answer the emails. We have provided for them a way for them to get solutions to questions that all members have. It's not just one department, it's all departments. It's across all departments. So when you now reach out to us, our customer care team hopefully will be able to answer your question right when you reach out to them, either by email or by phone. But if they can't answer that question, they're creating what we call a case, and that case is then passed on to the person that best can answer your question. What we're doing to improve that experience is once your question has been answered, it then gets added to the solutions so that the next time the customer care department has that call or has that same question, they'll be able to answer the next customer. This has been a proven model for the cohorts and the councils that have gone before us into the CEI movement, they've been using the customer care model and have found that volunteer satisfaction and membership satisfaction and how their inquiries and issues are being handled has improved, in some cases almost 3 times from what it was. There's other improvements that are happening in the CEI model that we have started to implement here at our council. These have to do with recruitment, intake, support and recognition, troop support, our new opportunity catalog, and our volunteer toolkit. The recruitment technique that we're going to be using as we focus into the future has been let me start again. In the past, we've had a bunch of different recruitment techniques. Different communities use different ways of recruiting. The council had a different way of doing things, and we've just been trying to get people, volunteers, girls, to join. What we've been doing is we've developed through the GSUSA movement a focus that generates interest by focusing on volunteer conversion. So basically, we have set a team, I should say a department, it's pretty much a staff department, but we've set up a department that's really going to be working on generating what we call leads, people that are interested in Girl Scouts, and then another group of staff that are going to be working on that conversion part, conversion having to do with actually speaking to these volunteers, talking to them about volunteering, and getting them to volunteer. And then the third part of the recruitment has to do with what we call member placement specialists, but the people that actually support you in the community. Using this model of recruitment, a basic 3-step model, has proven across the councils that have already done this that it's improving their recruitment experience. I'll talk a little bit about recruitment a little bit more as we move forward. We've also developed a dedicated team that will assist the volunteer through the registration and background check process through both phone, email, and automation. These are the member placement specialists that I mentioned briefly before. The member placement specialists are divided up by zip codes. So they own zip codes, and with those zip codes, that's how they determine who is supported. As you may have realized by looking at our opportunity catalog already, the way CEI works is it's driven by zip code. It's not necessarily driven by community numbers or districts as we may have in the past, but instead it's driven by zip codes. This dedicated team that's going to be assisting the volunteer through this process through registration and their background checks are called our member placement specialists, and our member placement specialists will be reaching out by phone and by email to interested members. Now, they could be reaching out because a member has expressed a form of interest that has to do with leading, volunteering, just becoming a member, or troop placement. The way that the system works has to do a lot with going through our website. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But going through our website is pretty much how everybody needs to come to us. By going to the Join Now or Volunteer Now button, a girl will start in the process or an adult will start in the process. What happens when we're going through that process is that if they ever leave the process, so let's say a potential volunteer logs onto our system and starts the Volunteer Now process, they get through one of the first screens or the second screen or the third screen of the registration process, and they leave that process. They X out of their computer screen, or they just decide, oh, I don't want to do this right now, I don't have time, and leave. Through automation, CEI, the initiative that's kind of driving all of this, through automation, that customer or potential customer will get an automated email after 2 hours reminding them that they left the process of registering or joining. If they choose to ignore that email or not answer it, then they will also get a reminder 2 days later, also automated through our system. These automated emails have a link in them that will connect them directly back to where they left off in the process. So if a person gets through giving us their information, choosing an opportunity, and they stop at the payment screen because, oh, I didn't realize I needed my credit card, or I don't have my credit card with me right now. If they leave the process after 2 hours or in that 2-day email, that link is provided for them that they can start right where they left off. They basically can connect to that link and it will take them right back into that registration process, so they don't have to redo anything that they've already done. If after 2 hours and after 2 days, they do not answer that email, so do not continue in the process and do not move forward, our member placement specialist will be alerted. At that point, our member placement specialist will call them and help them to move to the next stage of the process. If they get a voicemail, meaning the person doesn't answer the phone, they will leave them a message and they will follow up by email. If, again, the person does not continue with the process, they also get a reminder at a 10-day step. And then, again, if they ignore us, they get an email reminder at 30 days. At 30 days, they are told that they're not going to be continuing in the process. The email basically says, oh, we know you're busy. Please come back to us when you're ready to continue the process. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it says. And once they get that 30-day email, they won't be connected with anymore. At 35 days, just as an information for you, at 35 days, that potential customer is taken out of our system. So our pipeline, which is another word I'm going to throw it at you, but our pipeline is something that in the past we may have people trying to get through an application process and they were
breaking up slightly.
Nope. To make sure everybody can hear me. Sorry. In the past, when a volunteer or a potential volunteer was joining us or trying to join us, there's a possibility that they could be going through the application process or going through the joining process for months. In some cases, we'd have somebody that would be interested in joining, and maybe a month would go by, 2 months would go by, 3 months would go by, and it was kind of a never-ending cycle. We always would have people on our lists, and we'd always have people that were continuing to stay on our lists. In the new CEI cycle, we do have a 35-day period where we try and get them to register, try and get them to become a volunteer, and if they decide not to do that in that short period of time, we will let them go, and if they decide to come back to us in the future, they can certainly do that. But it's not something that we will continually be reaching out to them over and over and over again like we've done in the past. In the past, one of the things that people had said was, almost in a way, why are you contacting me 2 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later, 6 months later? I obviously didn't want to join, or I obviously didn't want to bother you, or I didn't want to be bothered. So this is a system that will help improve our customer service in the sense where we won't be continually going after people if they're not interested in joining us. In the CEI movement, we have an improved community support and volunteer recognition system. Our community teams are not going away. They're going to be continuing similarly to the way that they are. However, we're going to be providing support for those in a little bit of a different way. Dee Dee is going to be the main contact for our community teams. She's been supporting our VSCs already, and she's going to be continuing to do that along with some other members of the community team. So for support for the community teams, it will be a more focused support that will be directed right to you. And Dee Dee's main job, along with some other things, other duties as assigned, but her main job is going to be community support. So getting the teams what they need, when they need it, and how they need it is really going to be what she's going to be focusing on. Along with that comes volunteer recognition. As you know, we're in the spring season, and during the spring season comes all of our awards and recognition, and we currently have many awards that go out, such as Outstanding Volunteer, Volunteer of Excellence, in some cases the President's Award for community teams, along with other things like the Thanks Badge, etc. We're going to be continuing all those and adding more to them. We have just started a new Treasure Award, which is a recognition for new leaders as somebody that has been outstanding in their first year of service or their first few months of service. So that's a new award that's going to be rolling out, or I think it has rolled out already, but we'll be more focused on shortly. And one of the other things that's going to be happening with recognition is it's not going to just happen once a year in April or May. It's something that we're going to be looking at continually throughout the year and being able to recognize and appreciate and show volunteers what's going well and how people are doing throughout the year. And one of the things that CEI has found, GSUSA has found in developing CEI, is that the better communication that you have with your teams and the more recognition that volunteers get, the more they feel supported and the better off they will be in the long term, meaning they're going to want to stay as a volunteer feeling more appreciated. So that's something that we have in development at this time also. We've also changed the way we support troops. Troop support is its own dedicated department, for lack of better words. We now have dedicated age-level specialists. Those age-level troop support specialists are going to be proactively reaching out to leaders throughout the year. Some of you may have already received a spring check-in phone call from our troop support team, and this is something that we're going to be doing continually throughout the year, not just once a year at the end of the year. So right now they're working on the spring check-ins, and they'll be doing another fall check-in, probably one in the January-February time period, and then again in the spring. If they are continually doing this throughout the year, what they're hoping is going to happen is they'll be able to connect with the leaders on a one-to-one basis to find out what the leaders are needing, how the leaders need things. Is it webinars? Is it manuals? Is it somebody coming out and training them? The troop support team will be able to identify that and help leaders throughout, whether it's a new leader or a leader that's been a leader for a while. They'll be able to gauge that and be able to support them in a better way. If you have, as we all do, sometimes there's issues in communities where maybe you have an issue with a parent, or there's leader-to-leader things that are going on that you need counsel support with. Our troop support age-level specialists will be able to help with that also. So that's something that they're going to be working on. By proactively reaching out to leaders instead of waiting for leaders to contact us or waiting for leaders to contact you and then you having to contact us, we're hoping that, or we know based on what the other councils have already accomplished, but we're hoping what will be able to happen is the support that leaders are getting improves, because not only are we finding out what they need sooner, but we're going to be able to answer that sooner. For example, let's say there is a particular badge that, or a particular patch that troop support's calling, and numerous people say, oh, we're interested in learning about flamingos. I have a flamingo cup sitting in front of me. So we're interested about learning about flamingos. If troop support hears that over and over, that's something that they know people want, and then they can do something to develop that. That's just an example. But that's something that we know going forward we'll be able to accomplish. And also the troop support team, what they're also going to be doing is they're going to be a direct connection to new leaders. So when a new leader comes through our process and when a new leader becomes a new leader, troop support is going to be reaching out to them during their first few weeks as a new leader, and then during their first few months as a new leader, with almost a checklist of things that new leaders need to be aware of. At this time, they will also be connecting them to the community team if they haven't been connected already. So at this point, our troop support staff, might be talking to a new leader and say, hey, have you met your volunteer support coordinator yet? No, I haven't. Oh, well, you should, and this is her contact name, and this is her contact information. In the past, we always have troop packets. They'll go out in the fall. A new leader doesn't get a troop packet in the same way if they become a new leader in, say, January. Our troop support team will make sure that those new leaders have access to those troop packets and know where to get all the forms and resources that they need. In the future, we're starting this in the fall, but in the future, our troop support team will be able to connect the new leaders to what they need to do for their financials. If there's a community accounting coordinator, connecting them with that community accounting coordinator to make sure their bank accounts get set, etc. So that's a new part that's going to be starting, and our troop support team will be supporting that.
Can I ask a question for one of the VSCs that's not on the call this evening, but she had asked about VSC webinar. What about communities that have like a new leader mentor that already reaches out to those volunteers? Is that replacing the staff members, replacing the new leader mentor position?
We are not sure yet. At this point, the way that the process is built is that a new leader is approved, and they automatically come to the troop support team for a phone call for a direct connection. If there's a new leader mentor in the community, what will probably happen is the troop support team will make that first initial phone call, but then pass the rest of that to the new leader mentor to continue to do. We have new leader mentors in few of our communities, nowhere near what we have girl placement coordinators. So that's something that we would probably need to look at on a community-to-community basis if you have a new leader mentor in your community. The opportunity catalog, which we'll talk more about, but the opportunity catalog that shows troop availability and volunteer options so that a family can choose based on their needs and schedule, rather than having placement happen after the fact based on our needs and schedule. The opportunity catalog is built so that girls and parents can choose troops based on what works for them. And the volunteer toolkit that provides ease of planning, organized ideas, help with financial assistance, organized game plans for badges and journeys, etc., etc. If you haven't yet logged into the volunteer toolkit, please do. We will not be talking very much about the volunteer toolkit on this webinar, but that is something that every leader needs to be looking at, and it's definitely an added asset to what our volunteers have and what they can be doing. So, girl placement. So the big question that is now probably why most of you are on the call is, what happens? How does a girl get placed? A girl doesn't actually get placed anymore. Now a parent or caregiver can visit our opportunity catalog and chooses the troop that has availability that best fits their needs, schedules, and interests. If a parent doesn't find something that fits, they can register as an individual member, an individually registered member, which is an IRM, or they can choose unsure, and a member placement specialist will connect with them to assist them in finding a troop role.
We have a couple of questions, Sandy. Let's go back to Isabel. She's asking, can community members see opportunity catalog if we are not registering anyone?
So here, the short answer to that is no, but the longer answer to that is yes. So no, it is not available for somebody to just look at the opportunity catalog without registering. That is not something that we can go ahead and do. However, we are looking at reports, and we do have one that shows the opportunity catalog, a snapshot of that catalog, and that's something that we will probably be getting out to the community team for this later summer and fall. What we found is we have people that are trying to look at the opportunity catalog, and so they're registering fake names and to be able to look at the opportunity catalog. And as they're doing that, what happens is they may not realize it, but they're creating duplicate records because they may be using the same email or the same phone number. And so every time somebody goes into the system and starts on screen one, it's creating a record for us.
And the staff then have to follow up.
Yes, and the members placement specialist will get tasked, and then the staff member will have to follow up. So we strongly suggest that we don't go ahead and just pretend you're registering a member to look at the catalog. We do have that opportunity catalog available for people now. We're not sending it out now because it's very new to us. However, if you're interested in looking at it now, we have had a couple communities that we've sent it out to already, and I think it's pretty helpful to them to be able to see what's on the opportunity catalog. The opportunity catalog is live, so when we send that report to you, things may change at a quick pace, but it will be able to give the community teams an idea of what's out there in the catalog.
Okay. Okay, Catherine has a couple questions. One was, is this material going to be available afterwards? Yes, we are recording it, and then I will send everyone a link so you can have it for safekeeping. She's also asking that this might be covered later, in which case I am happy to wait, but how can I see what it says about my troop in the opportunity catalog? And you've just answered that.
And I will again in a little bit.
And how shall I update it? The
Okay.
troops page update doesn't seem to directly update, so is there someone I should be asking?
So hold on to that because we will come to that in a couple slides.
Okay, Maureen is saying you can see opportunities by clicking change troop.
Yep.
Or your own daughter's name, but don't finish changing anything, so you can see choices.
Yep. So what Maureen's talking about is if you are in your, when you go into the My GS tab from our website and log into the member community, you see your household. And then if you're a troop leader, you can also, on the second tab, see your troop tab. If you're in your household and you want to play by looking a little bit, yes, you can go ahead and add for your own daughter or add for a troop member, or if you want to see volunteer roles, you can add for the volunteer, and it will allow you to attempt to do that. What Maureen's saying is true. Don't actually do it because it will do it for you. What this function is available for is troop or girls that would like to look at other opportunities. We have a girl that may want to transfer troops, or she may be looking for a troop that does more outdoor things or more crafts, or maybe they're moving and they want to see what troops are available in their area, in their new area. Or if they know the troop is bridging and they need to find placement for themselves as opposed to the community helping them. A girl can go ahead and make a transfer herself, and that's pretty much how she would do it, is by changing her troop on her home screen. Again, if you're doing it just to look at the catalog, don't actually make any changes because it will change them. It also is possible now for a girl to be in multiple campaigns. If a girl would like to become a member of 2 troops or 3 troops for whatever reason, they can go ahead and do that. So girls would be able to become members of multiple troops if they decided to.
Maureen is also saying, I do not see any special descriptions on the troops, only level, place, and dates.
So we're going to talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
So troop descriptions are something that we've built into our catalog in a generic way. We did our troop survey, our troop customization survey over the last few months, and when you did that survey, if you decided to use the generic description that we had provided, that's what we used. If you wanted to customize your description, we took that description and we have it updated it and customized it. Currently, if a troop wants to customize their description, there is no way for them to do that directly. That is something that would need to be sent to us, and we can go ahead and do that. Lots of different ways that we can do that, which we can talk about as we continue, but one of them is just sending that troop description in an email to customer care, and customer care can go ahead and get that updated for them in their record.
Okay, and one more. Where did it go? Oh, I'm sorry. Will series be listed in the catalog?
Currently, yes. Yes and no. If a series has an additional cost to it, then it would not be showing in our catalog right now. Our activities function, as some of you may have realized, we are still operating off of 2 systems. We currently have our Salesforce database for our membership, which is what CEI is based off of. And then we still are working with eBiz to register for programs and camp. And currently, GSGWM does not have a activities portion of Salesforce. That's coming next year. So right now, we do not have series in our catalog if there's an additional cost for them, because that is something that would actually have to go through the eBiz system, because it's almost like a program. However, if a series does not have an additional cost, like our Swiftwater Paddlers and Crazy for Canines, those are listed in our opportunity catalog. So it's kind of a sort of answer to that right now. As we continue on this and as our activities tab does come, then more and more series will be added into that. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, moving on. So we're going to look at the opportunity catalog quickly, not all of it, but some of it. So this is the opportunity catalog for the girl. If you notice at the top where the green arrow is, there's 3 steps basically, which is get started, get involved, and join. The Get Started page is the first screen somebody sees when they click join off of our website. And that basically for a girl captures their name, their grade, their school, and I think a little bit of caregiver information. I think the caregiver's name and email address. That's their Get Started page. That's all they need to do to go ahead and get started. Next, they come to the Get Involved section, which is the opportunity catalog. This is the beginning of what the girl opportunity catalog looks like. And basically you can see that they can pick a specific troop or group, or they can find an opportunity based on zip code. Finding an opportunity based on zip code is the way we suggest people to do it. If you put your zip code into this, then, or the zip code that they're looking at, they can choose in the radius of miles how far they're willing to travel to find a troop meeting. So, for example, I live in Windham, New Hampshire, and Windham, New Hampshire has 1 zip code for the whole town. So if I put my zip code in, and I know that I only want to travel in my town, I only want to travel in my zip code, I would leave the radius miles as 0. And then I would input the grade as of fall 2015, which if you realize is last September. On July 1st, or right around July 1st, this will change to be the grade in the fall of 2016. So that's when our membership year technically focuses more on next year as opposed to this year. Once I hit search here on our opportunity catalog, the opportunities that are available to me in that zip code, because I chose 0 miles, will show. Okay, now in a girl area, it's going to focus on the grade that the girl put in. So if the girl puts in the grade of 2nd grade or 6th grade or 5th grade, it's going to show the things, yes, go ahead. It's going to show the opportunities that are available for that troop in 6th grade. I think if you look at the corner, I did put 6th grade in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just as a side note, we have a lot of communities that have multiple zip codes. So, for example, Manchester. There are multiple zip codes in Manchester. And if a potential member puts their zip code in, what their actual zip code is, and does 0 miles, it's going to only search in their zip code. But if they expand that search, 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, then it will expand the search around the zip codes in a radius, in a circle radius around that. So for some of our communities in Vermont, both northern and southern Vermont, and also in northern New Hampshire, they're going to definitely want to be using the radius miles in 20 miles or more, so that they can get a good sampling of what troops are out there. But in some of our more urban areas, you're definitely going to want to have a smaller area just based on how far you're willing to travel. The other thing that happens, which is definitely a newer aspect, although some communities did do this in the past, is the community lines that we have currently. As we know, they're imaginary. We've always crossed community lines. If a girl is interested in a troop in a different town, we've definitely placed her there. This is more available now. So if if, for example, I put in my zip code and I did a 5-mile radius. A 5-mile radius of my zip code would give me 5 other towns, which are technically different communities. But if a meeting works better for me in my schedule in a different town, that's something that's going to be able to come up. Maybe Salem is an adjoining town to me. If I did a 5-mile radius, there may be a meeting in Salem that works for me on Monday nights, which is the day that I can meet, or maybe a Sunday afternoon meeting that isn't available in my zip code, but it might be available in that zip code. So that's just something as a reference for the community teams to know. Parents, girls can go ahead and search different ways. If they are looking for a specific troop, if they know I want troop 12222, they can put that troop number in, and that troop will come up if it's in our catalog. If there are spots available in that troop, then they can go ahead and register into that troop. However, if you look at the openings remaining column, if they put in a troop number and there are no spots available, then they are not able to register into that troop. Most troops are displaying in our catalog, and so if a troop is in our council, the openings remaining will show based on what the leaders have told us. If there are 0 openings, it should still show in our catalog. We'll talk about this a little bit later. There are some instances where the troop does not display in catalog. And again, we'll talk about this as we get a little bit further down. However, if there is space available in the troop, and as you can see on this, from this screenshot, these particular troops for 6th grade girl, because that's the grade that I put in for the search, these are particular troops that are available. I then, as the parent, can go through and say, oh, this first troop is available monthly on Fridays. Monthly on Fridays, well, that might work for me. This next troop is bi-weekly on Wednesdays. Oh, no, Wednesdays don't work. I have dance that day, or my daughter has soccer that day. I can't do Wednesdays. Oh, here's another option, monthly on Fridays. This one's at 3 p.m., the other one's at 4 p.m. And then another option is a bi-weekly meeting on Friday. So Friday seems to be a pretty good time for most 6th graders in this area. And then it would just be up to the parent to decide which meeting time works best for them. As you can see, there is a troop that has private home as their meeting location. Some have listed it as private home. Some have listed it as the first one, serving the area in and around the town that they're in. Some people have put down location varies based on schedule, because we have a lot of troops that will meet in different places at different times. And then if there is a set place, as you can see, these 2 troops meet at the Windham Senior Center. So if there's a set place or set school or set building, etc., that can get listed there. Actually, no, before you go to the next slide, if you notice on the bottom, there's the unsure and individually registered member categories. Those are always available in both the girl and adult opportunity catalog. The unsure category basically means I don't really know. I don't know. None of these troops work for me, or I'm not really sure what I want to do. In order to register for camp, or in order to register for some of our programs, girls do need to be registered, and there really isn't an option for them to choose if they want to be a camp girl. So unsure is the category that they would choose if they just don't know. When a parent chooses unsure, a box comes up, a text box that they have to, it says basically, why are you unsure? And at that point, the parent can say why. I'm registering for camp, or I'm trying to register for a program, or I'm looking for troop 12222, but it's not coming up, or none of these work for me, or I'm looking for a troop on Monday night. They can put in anything that they want. The unsure members are then given to the member placement specialists, and the member placement specialists contact them to continue to help them through their placement process. An individually registered member is different. An individually registered member is somebody that really just wants to be a Girl Scout. If somebody chooses unsure for camp, then we may wind up moving them to individually registered member, but if they didn't choose that, that's fine. An individually registered member works for girls that just sell cookies. Lots of girls that join as Girl Scouts so that they can sell cookies. We have some of our older girls who their troop has disbanded, but they're continuing to be Girl Scouts to finish their silver or to finish their gold award. Those girls can register as individually registered members. There's other examples, but I think you can kind of get the gist of that. Okay. This is the Adult Opportunity Catalog. If you notice where the green arrow is, there's a lot more pieces to the Adult Catalog than there is to the Girl Catalog. The Adult Catalog starts the same way with Get Started. The Adult screen is a little bit more detailed than the Girl screen in the sense that it asks for the adult name, the adult email, I think there's a phone number, etc. on there. The second stage is the same though. It takes you to Get Involved, and Get Involved is our opportunity catalog. Looks very similar. However, you notice there's not a grade. There's just either pick a specific troop that you're interested in working with or your zip code with the radius/miles. This is an example of what comes up if I chose 0, I think I did Merrimack for this particular example. And basically, I just put in the Merrimack zip code and did a 0 radius. So these are troops that are available in that area, in that zip code. If you look at the first one is a troop leader is available for the 11th and 12th graders. They meet at the Panera in Nashua. They meet monthly on Sundays at 2 o'clock, and it says openings remaining 1, and this is the troop number, troop 10771. The Adult Opportunity Catalog works differently than the Girl Catalog. The Girl Catalog specifies your grade. The Adult Catalog is not specified by grade. It's not really specified by anything in the sense that an adult can volunteer for anything that they're interested in. So in some cases, it's a little cumbersome right now because we have 2 years of information in there. We have our current Girl Scout year, and then we also have the future Girl Scout year. So in some communities, going through is a few pages long, so it's a little bit cumbersome. As we move closer to the new Girl Scout year, our current opportunities will go away and our new opportunities will just be highlighted. If you look at the start date time column, you'll notice that we have some troops here that say October 1st, 2015 as their start date, and we have some troops that say October 1st, 2016 as their start date. Troops that are new in our catalog to be starting in October or to be starting at the new Girl Scout year in the fall have an October 1st, 2016 start date. In this particular case, the third one down, the Daisy or the kindergarten and first grade troop, weekly Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, troop number 51505 is looking for a troop leader primary contact. So if an adult is interested in becoming a troop leader and they have a daughter that's in kindergarten first grade and that's the troop that they want to volunteer from, and Tuesday at 6 p.m. works for them, they will go ahead and choose this as their adult opportunity.
Beautiful.
Okay, moving on.
Oops, did we go too far?
No, that's fine. Do we have any questions that we want to answer right now?
No.
Okay. So, if you have it, sure.
No, those
Okay.
are old ones.
All right. So, moving on just a little bit. How does an adult become a volunteer? So, in the past, as you know, we had an application, we had references, we had background checks, we had forms, we had training, we had other training, we had online training, members buying their membership, GS 101. There's lots of different pieces that have been part of our application process or our volunteer process in the past. As I mentioned in the beginning, the process has been completely streamlined. Now, when a volunteer would, or when a potential adult would like to become a volunteer, they go to our website, they hit the Volunteer Now button. On that Volunteer Now button, they would then fill out some basic information. They would then get to the opportunity catalog. When they get to the opportunity catalog, they would choose an opportunity based on the information that we just looked at, what's there and available to them. There is always the option of choosing unsure and writing in unsure, I would like to start a troop, or I would like to volunteer for a troop, but I don't see it here, or I don't know what I'm doing, can you call and help me, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They can put whatever they need in that unsure category. So once they choose a role, they're going to go through the rest of the registration process, which includes purchasing their membership. Remember, this is an adult we're talking about. So an adult, after they pay for their membership, will then automatically be sent the Assurant background check link. Now, what the Assurant background check link is in council lingo, we have two background checks in our council. The Assurant background check link is the federal link that basically checks background checks in 49 states. It works everywhere except New Hampshire. And that is the case, honestly, everywhere except New Hampshire. So, because New Hampshire has a different law, we also have the paper notarized form that we still have to do. Okay, so taking a step back. Once they purchase membership, they are automatically sent the Assurant link. It comes directly from that company. It's a secure link. It's a secure website. It takes them to that place where they basically answer a few questions. Have you lived or worked in New Hampshire for the past 7 years? Are you going to be a driver? And then the rest of the information that you need to put in for your background check. They go ahead and submit that. If you live in Vermont, that's the only background check that you have to do. So a Vermont volunteer could potentially get through the volunteer process very quickly. In New Hampshire, however, you have to do that part, and then you also have to do the New Hampshire state form. So at this point, our automation stops, and we have a team, a department, a team, our intake team, that will handle the process through the background check from here. At this point, the volunteer in New Hampshire and Vermont get what we call the next steps letter. For the VSCs, you're probably familiar with this letter. You are blind, the VSCs are blind copied on this letter. It basically introduces the volunteer to the VSC through that blind copy, and it also tells the volunteer what they have to do next, meaning in Vermont, they would have to take GS 101, which is our online training video. In New Hampshire, they would have to fill out the New Hampshire state form, get it notarized, get it back to us, and we would go ahead and process that with the state and also take GS 101. So that next step letter goes out to the volunteer, and our intake department monitors them through the background check process and through the completion of GS 101. Once they've completed the GS 101 training, they get an approval letter, which is copied to the volunteer support coordinator, telling them just that hasn't changed. That's the same as we've had this past couple of years. So the volunteer support coordinator is told that this volunteer has been approved. And then they come back into the automated system and are sent a welcome to the member community email, which will give them a welcome video that they need to watch and answer some questions on, and also allow them access then to our member community and the volunteer toolkit. At that point, just for your information, our troop support team, that's when our troop support team would then come into a new leader and go ahead and welcome them. If a volunteer is a renewal and they have to have their background check redone, that renewal process is pretty much the same way. They automatically get the Assurant link, and our intake department will then contact them with what they need to do for the New Hampshire state form. An approval letter isn't sent to the volunteer support coordinator for renewals because you already know about them, and that's not necessary.
We did have a question from Alicia. She wanted to know about a current girl who's active and she re-registers. Does she automatically go into the same troop that she's registered with this year?
If she did not choose a different opportunity at her renewal, then yes, she goes back into the same troop that she registered in this year. When a girl is renewing, they have the option of changing troops, and that would basically take them through the process of going through the opportunity catalog. But if they don't do that, which most renewals don't, if they don't do that, then yes, they will go back into the same troop that they were registered in.
I love this. Lisa's making a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to add that we could potentially see our new volunteers turn their criminal background checks and their intake around in less than 3 weeks. And Lisa Adams is commenting, I just did the new background check and it only took 2 weeks. And to get them emailed back that everything was complete. It was a very simple process. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, and in Vermont, it's even quicker. In Vermont, there's a potential of getting through it in about 3 or 4 days. Days, not weeks, days. So unfortunately, we have the anomaly of living in New Hampshire for this form. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're dealing with regarding our background check, it makes me feel better about what we have to do. But we're the 38th council that went live with CEI, and Massachusetts, Eastern and Western Massachusetts went after us. So at the time that we were the 38th council to go live, only one other council had any type of issue with their background check, and that's Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, they have to have fingerprinting done.
Oh, dear.
So every volunteer in Pennsylvania has to go to the local police station or local bureau and get their fingerprinting done. So once I heard that, I was like, all right, we'll handle the state forms. I don't want to do fingerprinting. So well, no matter how bad sometimes we think we have it, there's always somebody else that has it a little bit worse. Any other questions there right now?
Karen is saying, when are we going to begin getting updates or registered girls for 2016-17? So the reports, I'm sure she's referring to.
If you're referring to reports, we are working on that. Reporting is something that is brand new to us, and we are learning it as we go. I do have a team, Dee Dee's on that committee, who is looking at reporting and what information our community team needs. Dee Dee recently has had a VSC webinar and has been communicating with VSCs about which reports they need. And part of this webinar is actually to ask you guys which reports you think you need. That committee is going to be meeting over the next few weeks. Our goal was by the end of June, I believe, to kind of figure out which community reports are needed and which community reports we need to send. And then we'll go ahead and get those sent. We probably won't start sending them till August because we're still trying to learn the auto send function of Salesforce. However, if you weren't referring to reports, if you were just referring to when are we going to start getting new girls or new volunteers, that is already happening. If your community has any new girls or new volunteers, they are already being sent to directly to your community. Anything else that we need to go through right now?
No.
Okay, so just to recap, we're ready, set, and go. So once the volunteer goes ahead and gets through that volunteer process, the support and resources, that are available continue. More support and resources that we have is how do they get their troop number? If you notice on the opportunity catalog, there's troop numbers already there. So a troop, a girl, or a leader or a volunteer gets their troop number when they choose their role. There's no longer the application and training that a leader had to go through. The training's available but not mandatory. A girl can go ahead and choose their troop and have that troop number at the time that they made their choice. If a volunteer doesn't find an opportunity that fits their needs, they can choose unsure, and we can go ahead and build a new opportunity or a new troop for them. So for example, a volunteer went onto the opportunity catalog, they didn't see anything that they liked. Maybe they want to be a leader, but they want to do a Wednesday night troop because that's what works for them. As we know, our leaders have in the past always told us, well, this is when I want my troop to be. They can still do that. By going in and choosing unsure, the membership placement specialist is going to contact them to resolve that unsure category, And when they're talking to them, if they want to go ahead and get a troop built for a different time that's in our opportunity catalog, the membership placement specialist can go ahead and do that for them right at that time. So that's something that leaders still have the choice of when they want to meet if something that's already set up isn't working for them. If a community team member knows of a potential leader, what do you do with them? You know, you guys have the best connection to what's going on in your community, and you usually bring leaders to us. You may pair leaders up, you may bring leaders to us. That's not going to change. What you're going to do now, though, is you're going to direct them to our website, and you're going to basically explain sort of what I just told you. Go ahead and join now, look for an opportunity. If you don't see an opportunity, choose unsure, and then we'll go ahead and help them through the rest of that process. A new leader, as I think I spoke about this earlier, a new leader will receive one-on-one assistance from our troop support team, as well as connection to the community team for local help. One of the other things also is a girl can, when a girl registers into a troop, so if a girl chooses a troop off of the opportunity catalog, they get a confirmation email. And that confirmation email says, I'm paraphrasing, but congratulations, you're now a member. You are a member of troop 12222. At the same time, the leader gets an email that says, you have had a new member join your troop. Please go to the My GS tab through our member community to find out who that member is. So a leader is informed every time a new girl joins their troop. A leader is also informed when a new volunteer joins their troop. So let's say Dee Dee and I are leaders of a troop, and we have somebody join our troop as a chaperone or as a driver or as an additional leader if we have that spot available. We will get an email basically telling us a new volunteer has joined your troop. Go ahead and log into the My GS tab and check your roster, and on your roster you'd be able to find their name, their address, their phone number. So as the leader, you can then go ahead and reach out to that girl, welcome to your troop, etc. Tell her anything she needs to know about your troop, or you can, as a leader, welcome that volunteer. So that's much quicker, much smoother than we've ever had in the past.
We did that. Michelle is saying, going back to girls and re-registering or not, how should we handle troops that are not returning next year?
Two ways. Troops that are not returning this year, if they filled out the survey and noted that they were disbanding, we have them on a list already, and our troop support team is going to be reaching out to them in June to help them with whatever they need to do to disband. So that's actually 3 ways. So that's one way. The second way is a troop leader can go into their troop roster now, and if you've renewed already, you've probably seen this, but there is a choice that says don't renew. So let's say Dee Dee and I have a troop and we're disbanding. We have 10 girls, and we want to not renew those girls because we're going to be quitting. We can go in and do a don't renew. When a leader does don't renew, that really means that the girl's not coming back. That's not, I need to find different placement for her. That's the girl's not coming back. In that case, we have a lot of those. Not a lot, we have some of those. So in that case, our member placement specialists are alerted, Dee Dee Rice's daughter isn't coming back, and she can connect with her to make sure she really doesn't want to renew for the next year, or help her to find a different category. The third way for a disbanding troop to disband has to do with 2 things. If the girls are looking for another opportunity, they basically, their parents can go in and they can go back to the opportunity catalog and find a different troop to belong to. So they basically go through this exact same process. Instead of registering, they are re-registering, and they would register into a different troop. If there is no placement needed because the troop is just disbanding, that's something that we would ask the troop leader or the community team member to just contact our customer care team and let us know, and the member placement specialist or troop support will contact them to help them through the rest of the disbanding process to make sure their bank account's closed, etc. So the disbanding process kind of depends on what you're actually doing. Are you really disbanding that the troop's no more, or are the girls looking for a different opportunity to be placed into? It kind of depends on where you're going with that.
Okay, and Isabel is saying, and this is a good point, the leaders are leaving, but maybe the girls are not. Can you leave that troop there and have the girls re-register for that troop, but they need leaders?
Yes, definitely. So if you know of that situation, then yes, that's perfect. The girls can renew into that troop, stay in that troop just as they are, and the leaders would not renew. And basically what would happen on our opportunity catalog is it would show leaders needed for that troop. And a potential person, a potential adult that's coming in could take that troop or could take that spot and become the leader of that troop. So definitely. If you know of a person that's taking over a troop, for instance, if Dee Dee and I are disbanding and Michelle and Isabel are going to be taking over our troop, then Dee Dee and I would not renew, and then Isabel and Michelle would go in and they would choose that troop for next year as their opportunity.
Okay. We are really over time, but there's lots of questions.
Keep going.
Okay. Maureen is saying, are new girls automatically sent to GPC so we can know to follow up with them?
No.
Okay.
The GPC role is changing, and it's going to become something different in the future. A new girl that's registering is placing themselves, and the GPC is not connecting with them because there isn't necessarily a direct need for that. The member placement specialist here at the council will connect with them if they weren't able to place themselves into an opportunity, and so that part of it will kind of be handled by the council at this point. But no, that's not something that the GPCs would be getting information.
Okay. Maureen is also asking about automatic email notifications when a new girl is added to a troop.
A GPC would not be getting that information. That information goes directly to the leader.
However, GPC, soon to be something else, would get a report and could see those new girls.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Can a leader volunteer for two troops, like as an 01 for one troop and the 02 for another?
Thanks, Lisa. Yes. A leader can volunteer for as many troops as they want to. They can have one troop, two troops, that's fine. One of the things that happened this past winter is we actually got rid of the designations of 01 and 02 and 03. Now everything is a name. You're either a troop leader or you're a troop helper, driver, or chaperone, or product person or finance person, troop treasurer, I think it's called. So a troop leader would formally be known as 01s and 02s, but really they're all troop leaders. In the fall, you'll be able to differentiate a primary contact for a troop if you want to. So for example, if Dee Dee and I are leaders of a troop together, and Dee Dee wants to be that primary contact so that when a council sends out a troop packet or sends out information, or if we're looking for just one contact per troop, if a person would like to identify themselves as a primary contact, that will be available to do for in each troop for one person. However, we're not distinguishing anymore between 01s and 02s. Troop leaders are troop leaders. They all have the same training, and as far as we're concerned, they all have the same responsibilities. But they can do that for multiple troops if they want to.
I think we need to keep going, and then if we have time, we can come back to these questions.
Okay, so go ahead and next screen.
This slide.
Okay, so what if a parent chooses unsure? Talked about some of these already. A parent chooses unsure, and a member placement specialist from council will contact them to help them choose something. If a parent does not complete a screen or make a troop role choice when they register, again, when they get out of that screen, our member placement specialists are notified after their 2-hour and 2-day emails, and our member placement specialists will follow up with them to see how they can help them to get through the registration process. A parent can't locate the troop that they want. A specific troop isn't listed or the day or time doesn't work. Again, they can go through and they can choose the unsure category, and we'll go ahead and make that happen. The leader wants to raise or limit the number of volunteers or girls in their troop. The leader wants to change the meeting time, or a troop wants to change actually the number of girls in their troop. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. So at the bottom of your roster, if you log into the My Girl Scout tab, at the bottom of your roster there is a section that says view or edit my troop. And this is what happens when you get to that screen. When you come to that screen, you see the troop. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, it says view or edit the troop information. When you're in your roster, you can come down and you can go ahead and click on that. And this is what you come to. This is where you can change your meeting day, time, place, program level, number of girls, location, etc. Once you submit this, it will not automatically change in the opportunity catalog. It has to be approved, and currently we're approving these on a weekly basis. However, once we get further into the fall, August, September, October, November, we'll be looking at this on a daily basis. So if you want to change your number of desired girls, then you can go ahead and do that here. If you want to change your meeting location, your meeting day, your meeting time, your meeting place, you can go ahead and do that here. It will come to us for approval. If it's fine, we'll go ahead and make those changes in the opportunity catalog. If for some reason it isn't, for example, this is a senior troop that we're looking at right now, and a senior troop has a troop expectation of 14 or above girls. If I was to go into this and change this to total number of desired girls 10, that would raise a flag from our member placement specialist, and they would contact you to discuss why you're going below our expected number of girls. So I'm not saying you can't go below the number of expected girls, but if you are below our expectations, we will have a conversation about that to see what the circumstances in surrounding that. The only thing, as I said, you can't do is change the troop description. A troop description currently is not able to get changed on this tab. I don't know why, but if a troop description needs to get changed, you can just email it to customer care and we can go ahead and get it updated that way.
Are you ready for another new slide? Sandy, I just want to address that it is now 8:15, so if anybody needs to get off, we certainly understand. There is quite a few more slides and some things to cover. So if you can hang tight, that would be great. I want to address Deb Simonson's comment where she says she's looking forward to understanding the role of the GPC going forward. So it is coming if you want to hang on.
Hang on a couple more slides.
If not, we are recording this and we'll be able to send it to you if you need to get off now. Also, Alicia is asking about the council service fee. Is this new and will everyone have to pay it? Alicia, I think we're in our 4th year of a council service fee. Our membership goes directly, the $15 for every member goes directly to GSUSA, and then $15 for the council service fee that girls pay for stays here at the local council.
So a girl membership cost is $30, but it's broken down to be, oh, did everybody, I just got an information that we lost audio. Is everybody able to hear me still?
Where you going? Where? Yes.
Okay,
we're there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sierra, I think you need to see what's going on with your audio. I think everybody can still hear me. So with the council service fee, the $30 girl membership that we've had for a few years now, 15 of that, as Dee Dee said, stays with us, and 15 of that goes to GSUSA. It's just, it looks different when you register now because it processes different in our new system. So the membership fee is charged $15, and then you see a separate line that says council service fee. So that's probably why you're noticing it differently now. Okay. So before we get to where we're heading, one last thing, one less what if. What happens if a troop does not have leaders? This is a question that we're getting from a lot of people over and over. Girls can go in and choose their opportunity and register and get a troop number, and that's great. When they register, if a troop does not have the correct amount of leaders to start, they can go ahead, what happens is they get their confirmation email and it says, thank you for registering. You are in troop 12222. However, that troop is in need of leaders and will not start meeting until the volunteers are met. It does ask at that time if they're interested in becoming a leader, and they are kind of on hold at that point. One of the things that we are determining here at our council is we have the ability, which we've never had before, and this is fabulous, we have the ability to look at troops and see where leaders are needed.
Ooh,
we can look at a 0 leader troop or a troop with 1 leader, and when we identify those troops, our recruitment conversion team, our recruitment team, and our member placement specialists will be able to work with the community to help find leaders for those specific troops. If we go into the fall and we're looking at troops that have 1 girl here, 1 girl here, 1 for the Wednesday night troop and 2 for the Tuesday night troop, we may talk to those parents about combining those into 1 troop, depending on if we need to do that. So that's kind of what happens if there are no leaders in the troop. It's the information in the past hasn't been readily available to us, so we weren't 100% sure where we needed to go through and recruit, and now we'll be able to identify that and get that done a little bit more quickly.
Okay, Isabel has another question about, can you change number of adults? I think she means in the opportunity catalog.
Yes, you can't change that directly on your screens through that function, but anytime a leader wants the number of adults changed in their troop, they can go ahead and send that to customer care, and we will go ahead and update that. A troop right now, we went with a default of 2 leaders. But if a troop wants 5 leaders or 4 leaders, they can definitely up that. We have set troop driver, troop helper, troop chaperone to 2 as a default, but if you want 10 or 20, you can go ahead and add those. Product people, we've added 1. Treasurer, we've added 1, but again, if you want multiple, you can let us know that. When we sent out the the troop customization survey, this was a question that was asked on there. How many leaders do you want? How many helpers do you want? How many drivers do you want? And we did have quite a few troops of the 720 troops that answered us. We did have quite a few troops that told us, and we went ahead and changed their opportunity catalog for next year to reflect that. But if that's something that you want changed, we can certainly go ahead and do that.
Okay, and one last one. Maureen is saying, I've never seen where the troop description is shown to viewers. Where will this show to prospective girl families to help them choose their troop they want to join?
So if we go back to if you remember what the opportunity catalog page looked like, if there's a hyperlink on the troop number. So if we went back to that opportunity catalog page where it's for a girl where it said troop number 10080, and then it had the location and the time, etc. There's a hyperlink on the troop number. If the parent hovers over that hyperlink or clicks on that hyperlink, it brings up the troop description. So that's where they would be able to see that.
Thank you.
All right, so just moving forward, and we can come back to the questions for those of you that want to stick around. Where we are heading. So what's going to happen now? All these changes, all these improvements, the GPC role is very, very different. And the GPC role really is not going to exist the way that we know it right now. I got this question the other day. It seems that with all these improvements, there's no need for a GPC anymore. What can I do now? It's not true. We definitely need you. We need you as a volunteer. We need you as part of the community team in a little bit of a different role. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a new team member. The GPC role is going to be going away, and since placement was the main responsibility of the GPC, and that main responsibility is changing, we're going to be developing a new role that the GPCs may be interested in moving into, or other members of the team might be interested in moving into, and that's going to be known as the COM, the C-O-M, because you know how we like those letters. We always have to have the letters. This role, we're not 100% sure what it's going to be or how it's going to work. I have some information on it now. We're going to be continually developing it over the next few months, and it's going to be known again as the Community Opportunity Manager, the COM.
The COM.
The COM. The community opportunity manager is going to be responsible for lots of different things that we know of right now. However, like I said, this is still in development. This is an approximation of what we're going to be looking for. I reserve the right to change it as we determine exactly what it's going to be toward the end of June. That's our goal, toward the end of June, to have it defined. I'm not 100% sure we're going to make it, but it'll definitely be by midsummer if we don't get it to June. The community opportunity manager role will be responsible to help us roll the roll out. So basically communicating with your community as to how this all works, what's going to be happening, things that I'm telling you today, explaining to them what they need to do, how they need to do it, etc. You're still part of the community team, and so you'd work with the community team wherever you still fit. The COM would be basically doing community team things that the GPC used to do. Each community works a little bit differently, so that would kind of be determined based on how your team works. You would be assisting the leaders in your community to maintain accurate numbers in their catalog, the accurate number of desired girls, the accurate number of volunteer roles, things that we just talked about, making sure their meeting times and their meeting descriptions and their meeting locations are all up to date. What I visualize is part of the reports that you are getting in the future would have to do with this catalog, and you would be able to go to the leaders and check with them. Is this what you want there? Is this the number of girls that you want? Is this the number of leaders that you want? Is this the description you want? And help them to learn how to change that if it's not what they're looking for. You would act as a liaison between our council conversion team to help set up recruitment meetings in schools and local areas. Part of that change in recruitment that I talked about way at the beginning has to do with a concept that we've been doing in parts of our council for the last 2 years, and it's been 100%, I should say 90% successful. We've been holding what we call Discover Girl Scout events, Discover Girl Scout meetings. For those of you that have participated in them, you'll know what I'm talking about. For the rest of you, we're going to be rolling this out through the rest of the council. A Discover Girl Scout event or Discover Girl Scout meeting is when you bring interested people together and you concentrate the girls in one area, the adults in the other area. You have the girls run through a mock meeting, and you have the volunteer or the potential volunteers, the adults, but the potential volunteers working with a person that runs the event to recruit them, to explain what it's like to be a troop leader, explain what roles are needed. And the goal of the Discover Girl Scout event is to be able to form troops right then and there, and to be able to get the volunteers to register right then and there with the girls at the same time. If we're holding a Discover Girl Scout event or something similar, there's a process which I won't get into now, which we'll get into in a future time, but there's a process that we can develop the troops right then and there at that meeting, having them register, having them log into the website, etc., right then and there. So what we're looking for is the community opportunity managers to help our conversion team by connecting us to schools for open houses or buildings or meeting places that are good in your town for these types of events. In some cases, we may ask that the community opportunity manager and or other members of the community team come to that meeting so they can assist with running the girl part of the event during that Discover Girl Scout event. So that's something that we're looking for the community opportunity managers to do also. They're going to be reviewing reports. Again, we're not sure which reports, but reviewing reports to identify the leader and girl needs. We talked about the troop with 0 leaders or troop with 1 leader. As you're getting those reports and looking at them, we want to have a communication with you to find out, can you help fill those roles? Do you know of people that might want to fill in that role? Or what are our plans to recruit to help fill those roles? So that's something that we want eyes on the community so that you can help us identify the needs that are needed in your area. And then again, going back to the opportunity catalog, maintaining the data in our opportunity catalog, making sure the number of girls is correct, making sure that the leaders are correct, making sure that the meeting time place, location, etc. is correct. So this role is developing, as I said, and we're going to be adding some things to it and maybe subtracting some things, I don't know, but as we go over the next couple of weeks. But this role may be for you and it may not be for you. There are some parts of the girl placement coordinator position that I know certain people liked because they could do it at certain times. They might not be able to, volunteer at 7 o'clock at night, but they would do it, as you all heard me say millions of times, in their fuzzy slippers when they want to at their convenience. So some people may say, this community opportunity manager role really isn't for me. It's not something that I'm interested in. Others may say, this is awesome. I can't wait to get started on it. That's a personal decision that you really have to decide. If you're interested in becoming the COM for your community, you can let your VSC and let us know. We're looking for some decisions by the end of June. I hope to have a little bit more information out for you about what of the other responsibilities are. But just to give us an idea of if you're interested in continuing in this type of role, or if you'd like to volunteer in a different type of role on your community team. We've had a few GPCs already leave the GPC role and take other spots in their community team that weren't filled in the past, but this role might not have been for them, and they thought they would be more helpful in that volunteer support coordinator role or in the new leader mentor role or in the product role. So it really is a personal decision up to you and what your community is looking for and what your community needs. So we'll be looking for some commitments, quote unquote, for this role toward the end of June as we get into the beginning of the summer. If you're not interested in this role, I don't want to continue you on our distribution lists and kind of bother you with information that you're not going to need. So that's why I'm looking for kind of some answers as to whether or not you're interested or not interested in this.
Come on. It's not rolling.
Nope. So a little trivia for you. I think I lost my page. Here we go. So where did the term bug in relation to computers come from? Does anybody know that answer without Googling it? Can't Google it. You have to just know.
No.
No. Anybody?
Isabel knows.
Isabel knows?
I bet she does.
So, all right. So, no, I'm just kidding. So the most common version.
Dr. Grasshopper found a bug in a computer. Dr. Grasshopper.
Maybe Sue, you might be right.
Grace. Okay, Dr. Grace.
Grace Hopper? I don't know.
Found a moth, I thought.
Okay. So the most common version of this story has to do with back at the end of World War II, the U.S. Navy's Harvard Mark II computer, which at that time was a computer that took up an entire room, was having issues, and a technician, and maybe it was Grace Hopper, I don't know, but a technician fixed the computer system by finding an actual moth that got into the computer system and was running in the computer system and messing everything up. It's also said that this was the source of the word debug, the process of finding and removing errors from a computer program. That's just a little trivia for you because as with all systems, we have moths. We do have some bugs in our system. Some of them we've found and have already been fixed, and probably you didn't even know about them. Some of them we're finding and are working on, and I'm sure that we're going to find more as we continue. This is something that we're asking our teams, our comms, and our teams to help us with, to work with us with. One of our GPCs this week had some questions, and what we wound up discovering when we were kind of going back and forth in emails with her was that troop drivers, troop chaperones, and troop helper roles were not properly displaying for the catalog for the adult roles. We weren't aware of that, and we found it based on the conversation that we had with the GPC going back and forth. So right now, one of the bugs that we have is that our troop driver, our troop chaperone, and our troop helper roles in a lot of a lot of troops are not properly displaying. I have put a ticket into GSUSA so that they can correct this, and I'm hoping that they can correct it in a timely manner, which means about a week. So hopefully that was something that we will rectify right away. We had a bug. This is one that you may not have even realized, but just to give you an example of some things that are happening. When girls were registering, they were renewing their memberships, and they were getting this error that would come up on the screen after their credit card was put in. And it basically said, call customer care because your payment didn't go through. After that happened a few times, what we found with that is the payment was processing their membership, but it wasn't processing their council service fee. And so the system was creating an error for that. That was something that we put a ticket for. GSUSA looked at it, they worked on it, and they got that corrected. I think it took about 3 or 4 days for that to go through. There's internal things that we're dealing with certain tasks not being assigned to the people that they're supposed to be, things like that. Those probably won't ever affect you, but just to know that that's the kind of stuff that we're going through now. We're learning the opportunity catalog kind of right along with you. I don't have all the answers with the catalog. I don't have all the answers with how all of it works. We've had training. We've gone through training. Training's much different than when you're actually live on something. And so what we're asking is for our VSCs, our comms, our GPCs, anybody on the community team, or any leaders that you talk to too, if they're having problems, if they're having questions, if they have an error, if they don't know how to do something, drop us a line, send it to customer care. We need to know what you guys are running into if it's a problem so that we can go ahead and get it fixed. I re-registered my troop. I re-registered my family. I didn't have a problem. So I don't know if you guys are running into problems when that's happening. So if your leaders are saying roles aren't showing, or if they're not seeing something that they think should be showing, or if a troop's not coming up and should be, or something like that, please just drop us a line and let us know, and we'll look into it right away and hopefully get it fixed as soon as, well, definitely get it fixed, but as soon as possible. So,
Catherine's asking, when you say let us know, who should we let know that we're interested in the comm role? First I would say your VSC, and then Sandy or I.
Yeah, so let your VSC know so that they aren't worried about trying to find somebody to do it. And then you can drop Dee Dee a note, or you can drop myself a note. Either way, you could send it to customer care if you want to too. One of the things that we're trying to do is kind of get everybody to go through customer care for most things. So if you want to just take everything out of your system and just put customer care in there, feel free to do that. However, if you want to connect directly with Dee Dee or myself, please go ahead and send us that. It's fine. So,
any questions?
I know. Any more questions? There's a lot.
We have a happy face from Deb Simonson.
There's a lot of information. There's a lot of development coming, and we are definitely making some changes, but they are not in any way bad changes. And in reality, this has been working now for 2 months, and we've already seen an increase in early registration. We've already seen, as Dee Dee pointed out from one of our slides at the beginning, an increase in our volunteers that have been coming on compared to this time of year for the last 2 years. So we're hoping that this will continue. One of the comments that we're getting is, sounds like a big improvement in efficiency. Yes. Oh my God, I can't even tell you what we've seen here at our council as far as answering customer questions, being able to have customer answers that are consistent. We're learning things at our council every day about things that we thought we knew and we didn't know. The timing of things is changed so that it definitely makes things more efficient, but it definitely gets back to potential volunteers quicker. It gets back to customers with questions quicker. It's changing our workday, but it's making us focus directly on the customer before we focus on other things.
And I don't know if the volunteers are affected or not, but I think we're seeing a lot more cohesiveness and collaboration within the staff, and that makes for happier volunteers and girls.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely definitely improvement, and I see it moving forward. My boss was in here earlier today. Her name is Lori Mix. She is our new Director of Mission Delivery, and she was in here talking to me earlier, and we were commenting. I was actually telling her about the moth page on our webinar, and we were kind of commenting about bugs, and she made the comment that she was clearing out some emails earlier today, and she was looking at emails that I had sent her back at the end of February, so right before we went live, and then kind of clearing out some emails throughout the month of March. And she said she was laughing as she was reading them, because we were like little itty babies. We were really cute, and we were asking all these questions, and now in a short period of 2 months, we've realized how far we've come. And it's very interesting to go back and look at the things that we were asking questions about, what we've learned, and then going forward, where we think we're going to be in September, October, and a year from now. Kind of amazing.
Good stuff. We're all excited.
So thank you for staying.
Yes,
on,
thank you.
Thank you for staying on your line. And oh, we have another comment.
I think your search engine makes a difference. I tried to do a membership in Chrome and did not work, but Internet Explorer, it worked.
Okay,
Yay.
so that's something, if other people are finding that, let us know, and we'll see if there's something that we can do to help define which system people should be using. Why are you laughing at me?
Deb Simonson, Mission Delivery Department is going to need some aerospace themed t-shirts.
Oh, I love it. We could astronaut.
Ground control.
Yeah, exactly. Ground control. So if you're having issues with the search engine, let us know. Drop us a line, and we'll definitely be able to look into that. If you want to keep asking questions, feel free. If you want to leave, feel free. This is recorded, and we will post this, and we look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully lots of you will want to become comms or take on other volunteer roles in your community. And again, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And thank you very much for staying with us. And we're going to stay on in case you guys want to keep answering questions.
Isabel is asking, if we were strongly recommending training beyond GS 101.
Yeah, so training. Yes. So training is another topic we didn't talk about tonight. We have a team. We have lots of teams going on, but we have a team that's actually looking at training right now and trying to figure out where we want to go with it. GSUSA has taken a different turn. GSUSA has taken a very, I think I mentioned it earlier, tech-savvy approach to how they are looking at training for the future. They're looking at interactive webinars. They're looking at recorded webinars. They're looking at online training. And that seems to be the direction that a lot of councils are taking. We realize the importance of our facilitators. We realize the importance of our community team members, and we're trying to figure out where that fits with the system and how we can best utilize the system and also utilize that personal touch of training. So that's something that we're actually looking at right now. We do have our outdoor program. Our outdoor training has not changed. And that we're not looking at changing that right now. Our basic outdoor living skills, our outdoor adventure training, our first aid training, those type of things are staying. They're not changing. It's just the actual volunteer training. One of the things that we're considering, and I don't know how many of you have utilized, Deb King has been handling our troop pathway resources for a number of years now. She has multitude of webinars, level webinars, and bridging webinars, and short and snappy webinars, and how to do this webinars, and how to do that webinar. She has literally, I want to say there's probably 50, 60 of them that she has that have been available for years, but just really haven't been out there. And we're looking at some of those, having our troop support team connect with these new leaders, and rather have them going through these mandatory trainings, directing them to some of these trainings that would be more specific for the things that they're going through. So that's something that we're looking at, but training is definitely something that we're addressing. We have a committee working on that now, and we're hoping to have some more definite answers on that throughout the summer. I'm not sure that it's something that's going to be 100% decided by the fall, but it'll be something that's definitely going to be developing over the next couple months or years. Along with that, volunteer policies and procedures. Volunteer policies and procedures get updated, get changed, and that's something that we're looking at as a council and planning a rollout of that so that we can look at each policy. Our board of directors looks at that each time they meet, but this is something that we want to update our volunteer policies and procedures to fit into our new system and our new way of doing things.
Michelle is saying she currently has girls who didn't return this year listed on her roster. Will they disappear July 1st?
When you say they're listed on your roster, I would like to look at it a little further. Are they listed on your roster as inactive or suspended, or are they listed on your roster as active? If they are listed as active, if they're inactive, then inactive will stay until the next Girl Scout year. If they are listed on your roster as active and they're not participating in your troop anymore, just as in the past, we can get them transferred out if you want to. And then it won't actually change July 1st, but girls will drop off of your roster from past years come October 1st.
Okay. Sue is asking about rules for CLCs and ALFs.
So,
you're welcome, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. So roles for CLCs and ALFs. So the facilitator roles, if they're not outdoor training facilitators, that's part of what we're looking at with the committee to see what is the best use of them and the resources that we have for them. The CLCs, which are the community learning coordinators, we have some. We don't have a lot of communities that have CLCs. If we have CLCs in a community, again, we don't want them to go away. We want to use them as whatever way the community is utilizing them now. So if you do have a CLC in your community, that's something that we'd probably look at individually and say, okay, so troop support, this community has this CLC, so instead of doing this or this, maybe you want to send it directly to that CLC. Again, that's something, because of the small numbers that we have of CLCs and also new leader mentors, it's something we'd probably look at kind of individually and see what the best use of everybody's time is.
Liz Egbert is also commenting about age level training, something we had in the past, maybe bringing that back.
Yep.
I do understand where she's saying new leaders, even teaching or leading older girls, are completely lost. I was at one of their meetings, and there was most of the troop leaders at the meeting were all older girls. There was like 10 troops represented, and all were older girls, and there was one troop there, all new leaders, leading an older girl troop, and they had no training. But we said Troop Fundamentals is still available. She's saying, what about, working with older girls? And well, go to Troop Fundamentals. Yep, that would help you.
Yep.
I think here we're almost at 9 o'clock. It is 8:45. So, by all means, send your questions to Sandy and I. We'll continue to try and answer them as best we can. We want to let you get off tonight so that you can tend to your families. And thank you for staying on. And I thank you so much for being on. This was great.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.